What is going on, traders? We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the SPY, triple Qs, Tesla, Nvidia, and of course we're going to go over the VIX. Before we start, like, subscribe, comment your thoughts below. Let's get into the video. So right now we're looking at the SPY weekly time frame, and one thing we talked about in our last video is how we can potentially retest the neckline of this double top pattern. So you have a top here, and then your neckline is at around 575, 573, give or take. We're just going to say 575 because that's our psych level, and that's exactly what happened today. It's also important to note that we are filling this gap, or we did fill this gap at around 575. Now, one thing I tell you guys all the time is that gaps have very strong support and resistance. So be prepared for a potential rejection heading into tomorrow. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not guaranteeing it's going to happen. Just don't be surprised that it happens from this point, because we did close below this gap resistance, right? And so we can easily break further down back towards 568, or possibly fill this gap at around 564, 565. And the reason why I say 568 is because, again, we know that gaps have very strong support and resistance. So let's actually map it out for you guys here. So we can easily, tease this gap fill. Bears get excited thinking we're going to fill this gap, and then we immediately bounce from here. And then you can see a lot of turbulence in this area. So it's going to be, I imagine it's going to be pretty hard to fill this gap unless we get really bad news, right? Another scenario we can be looking at as far as upside is we just simply gap up from here, right? We just gap up and we just continue towards the upside. It's very much possible where we gap, we break, retest 575, 574, and then we head further towards the upside. Now, if that does happen for whatever reason, maybe tariff news or whatever the case may be, I'm looking at a move towards these guys right here, right? Let's map it out for you guys. So I'm looking at a move towards these guys right here at around 585, right? I imagine that if we get within the range of these guys right here, they're going to want to step in, okay? A lot of bears are within this range up here between 585 and I guess 610, right? So I do imagine that these guys are going to want to step in, and they're going to be foaming at the mouth. They're going to be looking for any type of bad news. So you definitely want to be careful if and only if we head towards this area. So that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the SPY. Now, one thing I do want to say, because I still don't think the bottom is in, right? If we do break down, like let's say we break down tomorrow, let's say we start heading towards this gap fill tomorrow, or we just tease or we act like we're going to head towards this gap fill tomorrow, I don't think that's going to lead to some super correction or a complete breakdown. I do think it's just going to simply be a retest, and then we head higher from there. Okay, I think majority of this week, and like I said, and I think I said this like 2 videos ago, or maybe even last video, I said after OPEX, I wouldn't be surprised we rally this week, right? I said that. Feel free to check. It was like Friday's video. No, wait, I didn't make a video Friday. It was like maybe Saturday's video or Thursday's video, one of those videos. But regardless, I've said twice that I do think after OPEX you're going to rally towards the upside, and it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. So I don't think this rally is over just yet, right? And if we do break down, I just simply think it's going to be simply a retest. I think it's just going to be a retest of 568, possibly fill this gap fill at 564, and then we head higher from there. We also have, I guess, a double bottom here. Maybe you guys let me know what you think about that, but potentially a double bottom here. I mean, obviously it's played out. I don't think it matters at this point. You just broke out, so I guess that doesn't matter at this point. But regardless, that's what I'm looking at when it comes to the SPY. Triple Qs, pretty much the same thing. Now, what I will say about the triple Qs is that you can potentially see more upside here, and this is why I'm thinking we're going to see more upside. And the reason being is that triple Qs has not retested its neckline for its double top. Its neckline is all the way at 500, 499 more or less. We also talked about this evening star pattern all the way on the left, and we're not quite in the range of these guys just yet. So again, I think once we get within the territory of these guys, I think that's when we're going to see another sell-off. I could be wrong, but we'll wait and see. But if we're going to head higher, and if I do think the market is going to gap further up, I would imagine that triple Qs is going to be the reason why, and then we pump towards 500, 499. We'll probably see some turbulence along the way. We may not just head there straight away, but regardless, I think that would be the move that we could be looking at before seeing another leg down on the triple Qs. And so that's pretty much my idea on what's going to happen this week. I will say that today we moved a lot for a Monday. It's kind of concerning, right? Mondays really are lackluster and kind of boring, especially considering what we saw on Friday. We didn't really get much action on Friday. So the fact that we're moving this fast on a Monday just tells me that the market is trying to get something out the way very fast before I'm assuming April 2nd, right? Because April 2nd is when we really find out the truth. Because right now it's pretty much back and forth. We got news that the White House is scaling back on tariffs. One minute Trump is talking about easing up on tariffs. The next minute he's saying he's going to, implement them. So we don't know. Okay, we don't know what to expect, right? Come April 2nd. So we definitely want to be careful, right? So triple Q's, your key level here is pretty much 490. I think that goes without saying, right? We break above 490, which I think is very much possible. If we break and hold above 490, then I'm looking at a move towards 499. And then from there, it's really tough for me to see more upside because, again, I mean, we saw the same thing on the SPY. Let's get rid of this real quick. We saw the same thing on the SPY. These guys right here. Okay, these guys right here. This is why I want to focus on price action because I really want you guys to just look at candles and really pay attention to them, right? But these guys right here, right? Same thing we saw on the SPY. I imagine they're going to want to step in once we get within their range. Okay, so definitely be careful once we head towards 499. And I mean, it makes sense, right? 500, I would assume, is going to be a very strong psych level. So it kind of makes sense. It kind of adds up, right? So that's what I'm looking at for the triple Qs when it comes to upside. Now, if we just so happen to reject from here, which is very much possible, right? We can easily, head towards this gap fill at around 484, 485, possibly tease the fill, and then we head further back towards the upside, or we simply fill the gap all the way at 480, and then we head back towards the upside. All right, because again, bulls are very present here. Okay, so I don't think we're going to like crash and burn just yet, right? I don't think another correction is in just yet or going to happen just yet. I do imagine it's going to happen in April, but again, historically, in March, whenever OPEX happens in March, the week after, the market does rally towards the upside. And historically as well, the last few weeks of March, last week we're not going to count, but the last week or so, last 2 weeks or so of March are typically bullish. So we'll see. We'll see if we continue towards the upside. But again, we kind of moved fast, all right? That's kind of concerning in my opinion, but we'll see. Now, don't get it twisted. Despite me urging caution, I know you guys are tired of me talking about being cautious all the time. We did trade upside, right? We didn't go crazy or anything. I didn't go crazy. I got a lot of Discord members who do their own thing, of course, and I'm all for that. But we took profit on Nvidia. We did Nvidia calls. It was nothing too crazy. And then I talked about Tesla heading towards the upside as well. Right here, this was when Tesla was at 275, and I talked about Tesla heading towards 285. And currently, after hours, I believe Tesla's like 281 or something like that. So yeah, congratulations to Discord members if they took this trade idea. I didn't take it because I was specifically looking for some type of retest. Didn't get it. Is what it is. I'll catch the next trade. All right. But other than that, Tesla looks like a great setup. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But otherwise, Nvidia was pretty much all we did for the day when it comes to trading. All right. So let's get back to the charts and let's actually look at Tesla while we're talking about it. So Tesla honestly looks great, right? And I think this is going to be short-lived. I don't think this move is going to like last forever, of course, right? I don't think Tesla has an incentive to constantly pump and pump and pump, right? Historically, the bottom for Tesla, and I said this in the Discord, historically, the bottom for Tesla doesn't come in until April or May. So I think another bottom is set to happen for Tesla. I'm looking at about 150. I know that sounds crazy, but again, historically, Tesla does not bottom until at least the end of the second quarter, April, May, whatever. All right. And then usually you see some type of action towards like the third or fourth quarter when it comes to Tesla. So I don't think Tesla is done dropping yet, but while the upside is here, we're going to definitely try to enjoy it. I'm hoping for some type of retest of this level here at around 268. Lowest we could potentially go, right? I'm not really worried about this gap fill just yet, all the way at 250. I don't think that's going to happen just yet. What I'm looking at is a retest of this trend here at around 257, 260 before Tesla heads higher, right? And of course, we want confirmation in order to determine that Tesla's going to head higher. So this is pretty much the move I was looking for. I was hoping Tesla just retest. Let's go to the 2-hour time frame because that's how I enter my trades. I was kind of hoping Tesla retest this level here at around 268, 270, somewhere around there. And then I would have entered a 302.5 calls for this Friday, expiration this Friday, because that's what institutions got in. And so I was going to follow institutions on that trade. I was hoping for a much better entry, but didn't get it. It is what it is. You're not going to be able to catch them all. But I do think Tesla is going to head towards 285. I mean, it's already at 282 after hours, so that's pretty much the move right there. Can it head towards 300? I don't think it's going to happen without another dip. I could be wrong there. That's fine, but I don't think Tesla's just going to keep pumping towards 300 until at least we get at least one more retest towards the downside. All right, so I could be wrong there. Maybe Tesla just continues to pump. That's fine as well. But I do think at some point in time this week, Tesla is going to head back towards 260. We'll just have to wait and see. But my price target right now is 285. I mean, we're pretty much there, so I'll take that as a win. But we'll see. Okay. That's pretty much all I have for Tesla. I'm not really bearish on Tesla right now. I think it has potential for a little bit more upside. We'll see. It could possibly hit 300. I'm not quite there yet, but 285 definitely my target. And then from there, I think some point in time this week, we're definitely going to retest about 260 on Tesla. So that's what I'm looking at for Tesla. Nvidia. So this is what I've been talking about. This is what I wanted to see. Right now, we're seeing semiconductors, somewhat follow along. We're not seeing AVGO give any life. Um, it's basically just Nvidia, really. I mean, you're maybe MU, but other than that, you're not really seeing. But we just want to see semiconductor ETFs such as SMH, SOSX, Nvidia just follow along the rally, right? That's what we wanted to see. Now we can say, we got a cup and handle here. It's actually very, very clean here, right? So right here as well. So Nvidia is looking really good for more upside. We took profit because again, I just I just can't trust this market. It's not so much the market, it's more so Trump. Like today, he just one minute he was like, yeah, we're gonna ease back on tariffs, and then the next minute he's like, yeah, tariffs. So it's just confusing, right? It really keeps the market on edge, and I think it's just being done on purpose at this point. I mean, this is insane. But yeah, you're looking at a cup and handle here, right? You have your handle right here, which can also be a symmetrical triangle. And then you pretty much broke out, right? You broke out, and I do think Nvidia, if as long as Nvidia holds 120, you are looking at a move towards 127. Let's go to the weekly time frame so you guys can get an idea on where I'm getting 127 from. Let's get rid of all this craziness real quick because it's very distracting. But right here, what these guys are, that's where I think Nvidia is trying to retest. And then once we get, and we talked about this before, right? If Nvidia pumps towards the upside, you're going to get into the range. Once you hit 127, you're pretty much in the range of these guys right here, these guys right here, these guys right here. And so I do imagine that between 127 and I would say 135, if we're being optimistic, that's where Nvidia is going to really sell off. I still got a price target of 100. I still think this thing is going to head towards 100. Lowest I'm looking at is about 92. I don't care. All right, be mad about it. But ultimately, we could see a move higher. So we hit 127, possibly see some type of rejection from there, and then we can head higher towards about 133, 135, pretty much retest the bottom of this rising wedge, I'm sorry, before seeing that next leg down on Nvidia. So that's what I'm looking at for Nvidia. Now, if Nvidia manages to break above 140 for whatever reason, right? At that point, I think the market is looking at a blow off top, right? Very much possible. I think that's very much possible, but we got to keep in mind the death cross, right? We got to keep in mind, we got to remember that there is a death cross. It's also a trend right here. So I imagine if Nvidia breaks above 127, that it's going to want to retest this trend at around, 133, 135 before breaking down all over again. And then from there, you're basically creating a lower high. High here, lower high here, another lower high. You got your low here, lower low. So yeah, that's where I think Nvidia is trying to head towards, between 127 and 133. You guys let me know what you think in the comments below about Nvidia. All right, so that's my thoughts on Tesla and Nvidia. If you guys want me to go over a particular stock, a lot of you asked me. I just remembered. A lot of you asked me about Palantir, man. Hey, yeah, yeah. You guys love this thing. I don't blame you. I mean, it probably made a lot of people money. I believe we traded this at one point in the Discord. I could be wrong. I haven't plotted this thing, so I'm just gonna do it from scratch, guys. All right, so let's look at Palantir. What am I looking at? This thing looks crazy. All right, so one thing here. Let's map this out. So we're pretty much above resistance at this point. We're actually looking at a supply and demand zone here. So let's map this out, guys. So between here and about 99, you have a supply and demand zone, right? So I think it goes without saying that, Palantir needs to break above 99, or we could just say 100, which is our psych level. So you want to see a break, retest, and then from there, you're kind of a liquid towards the upside. You're kind of a liquid towards about 108, 105. We'll just say 105 because that's our psych level. And there's a fair value gap here in this area somewhere. I want to say about here. somewhere around this range there is a fair value gap. So if Palantir does so happen to pump, I will wait for a break and retest above 100, and then chances are you're going to see a move back towards 110. I think this fair value gap is going to want to get cleared out, or at least market makers are going to want to clear this fair value gap out and possibly form some type of a lower high here. It's not clean or anything like that, but that's what I'm looking at. Usually when you see like massive bearish engulfing candles or bullish engulfing candles, they leave fair value gaps behind. So I do imagine that if Palantir continues to pump, or if the market continues to pump, that's where Palantir is trying to go. Right. So that's my thoughts on Palantir. I'm not too bearish on the thing. I'm not really bearish at all. As long as it stays above 96, we'll just say 95. I would assume you're pretty safe here. So just be careful with this thing. Um, Usually stocks like this, they pretty much give you an indication that the market is going to pump. So when Palantir was dumping, right, originally dumping, well, I'm on a weekly. When Palantir was originally dumping, it was dumping before the market dumped, right? So if Palantir is pumping, stocks like Palantir are pumping before the market even pumps, then that's usually a good sign that the market might pump eventually. So that's something you want to pay attention to when it comes to Palantir. I haven't looked at this thing in a while, so you guys let me know what your thoughts are. But yeah, I'm pretty bullish on it. I think as long as it stays above 96, you're pretty safe here. All right. What you want to do is just stop these guys out right here. Okay. So basically get above 99. We'll just say 100 cycle level. And then from there, you're probably looking at a move towards 110. So that's my thoughts on Palantir. Let's look at the VIX. So I said this in the Discord. The VIX is moving extremely fast towards the downside, right? like, and one thing I said is that in the last video, I said the VIX could be heading towards this trend line right here, right? This trend line, and we're pretty close at around 16.8. All right. Not only that, but this rectangle right here. So let's get rid of all this so I don't confuse anyone, right? So this rectangle right here is a fair value gap. So I think this is where VIX is trying to go. VIX is trying to mitigate this fair value gap, and then from there, um, it might get bad. All right, it might get bad. Now, if we do continue to head further down, let's say we just clear out the fair value gap and head further down, what do we know about the VIX? One thing I've been teaching you guys all the time, between 15 and 14 is historically where the VIX pumps. I wouldn't say historically because it's only started this year, but you get the idea, right? For January up to now, that's usually when the VIX pumps towards the upside. So, let's start from January, right? So here you got as low as about 16, you pump towards the upside. Here you got as low as about 15, you pump towards the upside. Here 15, 15, 15. Every time you got between 15 and 14 on the VIX, you spiked or you pumped towards the upside. So that's what I'm looking at for the VIX. I would say 16.8 is pretty close. So if we hit this trend on the VIX, just be prepared. Okay, I'm not saying the worst is going to happen, but just be prepared for the market to, you might sell off. Okay, so the VIX is moving very fast. And yeah, Mondays are typically boring, but the fact that we move so much on a Monday is kind of worrisome, right? And by all means, trade the upside, do your thing, okay? Like I said, we traded Nvidia towards the upside. We talked about Tesla, all that fun stuff. I'm sure a lot of traders in the group, they did their own thing as well. Let's actually check the winners tab because I haven't shouted out a few traders in a while. So yeah, this guy right here, he's been on an absolute rampage. Good day, 3 days in a row. I refuse to hold on anything overnight with all this chaos, but I'm learning. He asked like 20 questions a day, and I answer every question I can, but it's working. Okay, it's working, and I'm just loving the results here. Let's actually see what he traded. He traded Carvana, he traded Tesla 305 calls. This was in a trade idea I was talking about, so he took that Tesla play as well. Palantir, you know, he's been going on a rampage, right? I'm sure he's taking a lot of these trades from the members tabs as well. There are members that's alerting trades as well. This guy right here, he's been an absolute rampage. I might end up having to hire this guy because he's just been calling crazy trades every single day. As you guys can see, he made, sheesh, he made $1,000, 300. He's been going crazy. All right, so a lot of good traders in the group that alert their own trades as well. A lot of them are day traders. Some of them are, what is it, scalpers, things like that. This guy right here, he took SPY call. Wait, no, what did he take? Yeah, he took SPY and he made $100 off that as well. So another play from this guy. This is actually the same. think it's the same. I think he keeps repeating the same screenshots. I don't know. Well, regardless, yeah, absolute rampage. A lot of traders do their own thing. We have a members tab where members alert their own trades and everything like that. So yeah, um, I think this guy pretty much just owns the freaking tab at this point. And then you got like Nighthawk as well. You know, shout out to Nighthawk as well. He's alerting his own trades as well. So seems like a lot of members are enjoying this guy's trades. So shout out to him. I'm never hating on success. If you join my group and you alert trades and you're making everybody money, including myself, I'm all for it. I am not too egotistical. I don't have a huge ego that I can't, follow somebody else's trade, especially if I agree with it. So shout out to everybody in the members tab that's actually making a killing in the group. You know, I mean, it goes on. It just keeps going. He made this guy right here. He made what happened? He made 34% off of Nvidia calls, 122 calls. We did 123 calls. I think he took this before I alerted it, so I'm not gonna act like he, copy my trade or anything. That's all credit to him. But yeah, pretty good day. I will say pretty good day. So someone asked me before, do I trade any upside? Yes, I do. It's just hard. It's just really, really hard. Like that one guy said in the winners tab. Yeah, he said he refused to hold overnight. I don't blame him. He refused to hold any trades overnight because this market is just all over the place, and we just don't know what our president is going to do next with these tariffs. So you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I think I've said enough. Ultimately, in conclusion, guys, heading into tomorrow, if we're looking at the SPY, I don't know why it froze, but regardless, if we're looking at the SPY, you want to see us mount and hold 575 if you're bullish. If you're bearish, you want to see us reject it convincingly, and then you're looking at a move between 568, 564. That's pretty much the conclusion here. Definitely pay attention to the VIX. The fact that this is not loading is insane, but I'm pretty much done with the video. So pay attention to the VIX at around 16.8. If it has any lower, 15, 14, you already know what happens every time we hit 15, between 15 and 14. Until the next video, traders, have a good one.